What is
It's
up?
time in China.
Yeah, how's your trip? What are you up to?
Yeah, I'm already here for like 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Welcome to Mentra China.
And we're here with Cayden, the CEO of Mentra.
Hey.
Hey, Cayden, please tell us what you're doing at Mentra.
Mentra is building an operating system for smart glasses. So we spent many years building apps for smart glasses. And while we were doing so, we realized that it was really hard to do. We realized that every single time a new pair of glasses came out, we would have to rebuild the app from scratch. And so originally we built a software framework for smart glasses, but then we realized that we needed multiple apps to run at the same time. We thought about this thought experiment, like maybe you're in class and the professor says, hey everybody, please turn your notebooks to the chapter on ASR. Okay, let's continue. And your glasses definer agent spins up and instantly overlays the definition of ASR on your vision. Then you're walking out of class, maybe you're a visiting student and a local starts speaking their local tongue, and then immediately your translation agent spins up and proactively starts translating for you. Then maybe you're walking out of the school building, you're done for the day, and your Uber agent looks at your context and says, oh, in the calendar you have a date in 15 minutes. So it pulls up a car and tells you, what kind of car it is and that it's out front ready for you. That was proactive. And for that to happen, there's only really two possible futures here. One is some big tech company just builds this omnipotent AI that can do everything and it handles all these things for you. Or there's many different companies, different developers that build applications that have access to data, that have different infrastructure, and they all work together to create that kind of experience. And we think that the latter is how this is going to play out. We see that that's how it's always played out in the past. And so we are making the operating system for smart glasses so that multiple apps can run at the same time. Many AI agents want to have access to this camera at the same time, want to have access to this microphone at the same time, and we build the platform so that multiple apps can do so. And we do it completely open source so that everybody can have access to it. We're building it so that this is really a platform for smart glasses.
What Stan from Lynx said was they are a launch partner for Android XR, but they still make their own Android system and build stuff on top. For some customers in B2B, right? Some businesses, they don't want Gemini looking at everything they're working on. And military customers. So maybe there need to be an alternative.
I mean, yes, maybe that's true, but we're not just shooting for a niche that Android XR can't hit. We think that there's some very specific new problems that are posed by this new form factor that need to be solved at the OS level. Just like when smartphones came along, there were all kinds of new problems. And if somebody could build an OS to solve those problems, then you unlock this huge amount of value and this huge amount of possibility. So we don't see Android XR as solving all of those issues, like shared context, multiple different apps running at the same time, and also cross-compatibility. We make it so that you write one app and it runs on any pair of glasses, but it also runs on any kind of phone, Android or iPhone. We want people to be able to just build one thing and it runs anywhere, whereas in Android XR isn't solving that problem. And we also see a problem of, where does the compute happen? And since these glasses need to be so lightweight and so small, you can't actually run the apps on the glasses. And all of these applications are using very powerful AI models. And those powerful AI models run in the cloud. And they will continue to run in the cloud because as the models get better and bigger, they keep needing to use cloud resources. So instead of having a bunch of apps all running on your phone or on your glasses, independently streaming data to the cloud and independently streaming back the results, we create one open source pipeline from the glasses directly to the cloud or through the phone and then to the cloud and back again. That's fully open source, community controlled, cross-compatible. And then all the applications can run in the cloud and they can be closed source. They can be paid or free or whatever you want, but that pipeline exists that is needed for it's the architecture that's needed for glasses to actually take off.
So would you say if you have another layer in between where you have parts of it running on the device that would bring in too many complications because of all the different devices, that it's not useful enough to have this layer, maybe because if you go to the cloud, sometimes maybe it takes a little while, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the connection. So maybe if you can do little things on device.
Yeah, I mean, that is expected, and we already do some small stuff on the device. For example, we have an option to do transcription on your phone, as opposed to the cloud. But what we've noticed is people always say, oh, what about the latency because you're using the cloud? Whereas what we don't realize is almost all the apps on your phone are essentially a web view, essentially a website, right? All those pages, in order to load, are hitting a backend. And just like you were saying on the way walking in here, your apps weren't loading because you didn't have an internet connection. They all require an internet connection anyway. A lot of them are literally just a web view pointing you directly to a website. So we've seen that people are more than okay with the few hundred milliseconds or a couple hundred milliseconds of latency that it introduces. The times when you're not okay with that is, for example, when we're talking about like spatial computing. So right now, most of these devices are like a head-up display or something along those lines that don't require 20 millisecond response time. We think that as we move to more spatial interfaces, that we'll need to run more things on the glasses and on the phone. But those are expected to be, you'll run one version of that, your 3DoF or your 6DoF algorithm on the phone, maybe a little bit of on the glasses, and the apps can share the same SDK. The app can say, okay, lock this text or this image or this object at this exact position, and then it's on the edge that it's handled. There doesn't have to be a bunch of custom code running at that place.
Yeah. And people know you from working with the Even Realities G1 glasses and also on the Vuzix Z100, I think, right?
Yeah.
So you had your platform on these glasses, but now you're making your own glasses.
Yep.
And what are these glasses? You're wearing them.
Yeah, I'm wearing a pair of Mentra Live right now. So we have and will continue to support Even Realities glasses and Vuzix glasses. And we're very much looking forward to the next gen from those companies. And we're also partnering with other companies here in Shenzhen and elsewhere to add support for their glasses. So really the most important thing for us is this cross-compatibility. We see a future where smart glasses augment humanity's capabilities. They augment everyone's individual intelligence, and they augment our ability to communicate with each other. And that allows us to create more together and to become more. And we see that smart glasses are going to change. They're going to be able to see what you see and hear what you hear, but they'll also control what you see and they'll control what you hear. So it's critical to us that no matter who built the hardware, that the apps that are running are controlled by the person who's running them. And that the AI that's like representing you and using tools for you is chosen by you and controlled by you. So that's the most fundamental thing. We're also building hardware because now we have a bunch of users. They're asking for specific things that they need, and we're trying to meet their needs. So when it comes to Mentra Live, this is not necessarily meant to be a mass consumer product. It's not competing with the Meta Ray-Ban necessarily. It's really for developers who want to build camera glasses use cases and for businesses who want to build camera glasses use cases. And it's so that Mentra OS can support camera, right? Where there was no glasses with a camera that was previously available that had any kind of SDK. So we built a really great pair so that we could have that support. And then with our display glasses coming next year, it's so that we can have a pair of glasses that are hitting the weight and the battery needs that our users are asking for, especially for our top 3 use cases. So we see captions as number 1. People who are deaf and hard of hearing need these things to last like 16 hours, and we're hitting that now. Translation, I'm here in China and I use this all the time. And also proactive AI. So what I've been working on since many years ago, what my master's at the Media Lab was about, is AI that can listen in to the context, what's going on around you, and then help you out in the moment. So it can answer a question when someone asks it. It can check a fact if someone says something that isn't true. It can give you stats if they could be useful in that moment. So that's why we're building our own hardware to kind of like complement this, but it's just going to be one of the pairs of glasses that is supported by Mentra OS.
Yeah, so maybe you augment the market, right? Because whatever's out there, you maybe need a specific feature and you can control it if you build your own hardware, right? And also with the availability, you're not dependent on anyone, right? If a customer wants or a developer wants to have hardware wants to have a device, they can come to you and get one.
Yeah, absolutely. And one critical thing is we're open sourcing as much of the hardware as we can, basically. Of course, you'll never be able to open source absolutely all of it, but we open source as much as we own, basically. And that's going to allow other people to come along and learn from what we're doing. So we listen to users and we implement what they need, and then we make this open for everybody to kind of learn from and build upon. And just like you said, it gives us some capability to nudge the market in a certain direction and not be beholden to anyone, while we move to support basically every pair of glasses that are good.
Yeah. And you mentioned now you're building glasses with display as well. So you have glasses without display and with display next year. And do you think there's always a place for glasses without display? Because Mark Zuckerberg, right, he said, like, even when we have display glasses, there's always a market for lower cost, lower weight, different form factors, right? And even in the future, we will probably always have these audio-only glasses and camera glasses. Would you agree with that?
I'm not really betting on those. One thing that we see with like glasses like the Meta Ray-Ban is even though a lot of consumers buy them, they end up in the drawer or in someone's backpack. I know dozens of people who own them, but we've done polls in our Discord with thousands of people, and people can only wear those for like 4 or 5 hours before it really starts to hurt their head. And I question if even if we made those a lot more comfortable, would people wear them all day, every day? I do get to wear these all day, every day. These are my prescription lenses. These are about 10 grams lighter than the Meta Ray-Ban. But I'm not necessarily banking on that being the generational personal computer shift. I really think that the display is super critical. And when it comes to lower cost, we're seeing the cost of components drop, right? There's some new technologies coming out that you're checking out here. CIOE is tomorrow, the most advanced optics show in the world in Shenzhen. The stuff is dropping down really low. The weight is going down, the power is going down, and the power of a display is unparalleled. Captions, translation, proactive AI, all these things really do need a display. If your AI is filling in the gaps and giving you an insight, it can't be talking to you in your ears while someone else is talking. You really need something that you can glance at. We've tried to do it with audio, it just doesn't really work very well. So we're pretty convinced the display is critical.
I'm sure that everyone in the augmented reality subreddit is glad to hear that, because many people are already sick of hearing more news about more displayless AI glasses.
Well, in terms of augmented reality, I know what you're saying. People are saying, hey, with all this AI glasses stuff, we're forgetting about the holy grail, which is AR, because that's not what's sexy right now. But I do think that starting with a HUD is where you need to start to hit the sub 40 gram, 14 plus hour battery life that somebody can actually wear comfortably and fashionably all day. And I think that our path to AR is not going to be someone building a holy grail device today and then miniaturizing it over time. It's going to be, we build a HUD device, heads up display, and then we slowly add spatial capabilities based off of users' demand. So one thing I see as a big demand for spatial is being able to lock captions above someone's head, right? There's 400 million people who are wearing hearing aids every single day, and they're desperate for caption glasses, but there's never been a good pair of caption glasses. I bought every single pair. They all suck. They're super heavy. They die fast. We're building a pair that's really great. But one feedback we get all the time, which we're not going to hit on our first pair, is can you just make the captions on top of someone's head? So if Norm is speaking, I want to see it on top of his head. If Thomas is speaking, I want to see it on top of his head, and it will change when I move back and forth. I don't think we'll necessarily have advanced 6 DOF on your 37 gram glasses next year or the year after that, but you'll totally have something super basic like maybe it's audio based, we'll have to see, but spatial enough that you can lock something on top of someone's head, and then it will continue to advance towards full Rainbow's End level AR.
Right, and it doesn't stop there, right? You have to locate where the people are and project it at the same depth where the people are. So you don't have to refocus every time to look at the person in the face and then at the text again. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the next 10 years, right, that have to be figured out. And think as well, right, you have to have a product in the market, learn from the feedback from the users, and that's why you have to make devices now that people actually wear and not, as you said, build a heavy helmet and then try to shrink it. If nobody uses it, we've seen it with the Magic Leap 2, right? There were these big promises and then it couldn't even do that, but it was also still too expensive, too complicated to make applications, right? Even that has to develop over time.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm fortunate that this is the best path, because even if I had $500 billion, I would still take this route, but I don't yet have $500 billion. And so it's nice that that's the path, because it allows a smaller player to enter and just solve real problems for real people that they actually need right now. Not something flashy or cool that is great for, like ads or to convince people to buy it, but then it ends up in the drawer. I think focusing on those things that will get people wearing it all day. I often say, like, I would rather instead of 10 million people who buy my glasses and then put it in the drawer, I would rather 1 million people or 500,000 people who buy the glasses and wear them every day. Because if you hit that, not only are you actually solving a real problem, but give it like 2 years and you're way past that 10 million anyway.
Yeah. And also, when you're starting, right, not even like 50,000, maybe start with 500 and work with them, right? You do this as well. You already mentioned, you have your Discord server where you communicate with the people, right, and use their feedback. And also you've been on Reddit a lot. You've been in the augmented reality subreddit. We did AMAs there, I think 2 already, right? And you're always building a bridge to the people and let people ask questions so you can learn as well from them, right?
Yeah, it's been really great, and I love this community so much, and I'm kind of blown away by how much people have like seen what we're doing, and it feels like the other companies in this space are completely ignoring the actual users. And we have, if there's 1,000 people using your device every day, they have so much to tell you about how to make it better and what they, what they're struggling with, what they need. And, we pull up to like the Reddit community or Discord or whatever, and it's just like, they're telling us loud and clear what is needed, and begging for certain things. And it seems like we're the only company responding. Maybe I shouldn't tell everybody this, so that now I'm gonna have some other company's gonna hire like 12 interns to come like comment on all these videos now. But it is pretty cool to be like on the ground floor now.
Absolutely. And tomorrow you will be on the ground floor of CIOE. You already mentioned it. You will go to CIOE. That's why you're here in Shenzhen at the moment, right? And what do you expect to see at CIOE? What are you looking for? And what are you showing?
Yeah, well, I'm super hyped for CIOE. This is going to be really cool. We're going to see every single component that goes in smart glasses. We'll see the cutting edge of that, because it's grown past just the optoelectronics, and it includes a lot of stuff very much based around smart eyewear. And I would like to, soak it all in. Of course, at CIOE, it's going to be mostly on the optoelectronic side, but I think that there's a huge amount that can make future glasses way better, and it will teach us, okay, what's coming down the pipeline? What do we need to support with Mentra OS?
I think so too. I think everyone in the space, even if you're a developer, if you can afford to go to these exhibitions, you will learn when your application will become possible. Because if you're now building a 6DoF application that needs like 100-degree field of view, right, in a smart glasses form factor, you will see that this is not around the corner, right? You have to be realistic, and it doesn't make sense to reach too high too fast, because your startup, your software startup, it will fail. You have to build for the platforms that will be available that will be available in 1 to 2 years, right?
I totally agree with that. I think that it's hard for developers to know what's going on right now because it's so much hype, and we're trying to do a better job of telling devs, at least from our perspective, what's realistic right now and what's not. because we're seeing, I'm in a group on X right now, a DM group that I got added to, and there's people building apps for multiple platforms, Mentra OS being one, but the people who are getting paid are the ones who are doing it on Mentra OS because they're building it for glasses that they can actually deploy. Some people are getting paid $10,000 per app that they build in a few days, right? And so this kind of effect is already starting for developers making real money, but they're definitely going to have to be based on what's possible today. Like something this big, if it's supposed to be for a field worker, is just not going to fly. And so helping them understand, okay, here's what's actually available today. Here's some apps that could work that you could build. Here's some apps that they wouldn't work for this reason, to help devs get the mental model of what's possible, I think is going to be huge. As I think like 2026 is going to be huge for smart glasses in general, because I know everyone always says next year is going to be huge for smart glasses, but we see the early adopters wearing their smart glasses all day, every day right now. And so I think that's really going to snowball next year.
And that's for consumer, but also for B2B, right? Industrial glasses with display, without display. The AI glasses now without display, we've seen only the consumer applications, but there are also industrial enterprise applications that are being built out, right?
Yeah, totally. Our opinion is the huge win in the near term for consumer glasses is the display with a microphone, maybe with some speakers if you can fit it in the weight budget, because of the app's captions, translation, and proactive AI as just the killer apps there. On the developer and B2B side, that still holds. Those display glasses will still be big, but then the camera glasses that don't have a display are also going to be huge. Maybe one example is, there are, for example, take like a car mechanic company. There's some major multinationals that have like 600,000 to 1 million technicians who fix cars every day. A common workflow for them is to walk up to a car, not know how to do something or what part something is or the torque spec of a bolt, and then they go to their computer or to their literal paper book and go look up how to do something. Whereas then if you have glasses with a camera and an SDK where you can build applications, you can walk up, click, and say, hey, what's the torque spec of this bolt? And it has the context of what's going on around you. It's your custom app, so it's tied into your system, what car it is or whatever, and it tells you in your ears immediately, and you just solve the problem right then and there. So I expect that when we see consumers have to be like convinced that it's worthwhile for them and that they like it, and it has to evoke the right feeling. On the B2B side, if as people go forward and they can demonstrate real like ROI with these, and they're entering into the realm of being possible to wear for a full shift and use for a full shift, you're going to see just in the next like 18 months, millions or tens of millions of these adopted in industry.
Well, we hope so, right? Because we've waited for a long time with very advanced AR visions, right, of the future. And I think we're now at a point where it's starting to happen, but in a, as you said, like in a head-up display form factor, right? Not in the full sixth of mixed reality, changing your reality, reskinning your reality, right? But actually useful applications that can be built now and developers can make money building it.
Yeah, and I think just the basic thing I say every time, and like, yes, we've been promised this for a long time. I've been doing smart glasses for 7 years. Relative to some people in your Reddit and stuff, I'm a baby. But it's been well known that the comfort is a major limiting factor. And I like to think, like, imagine your phone weighed like 35 pounds and it died in an hour and it got super hot in your pocket. Like, all these apps, all these unicorns that showed up from the mobile revolution never would have happened. And I think that smart glasses and AR has never even had a chance because it's just never been at the place where you could wear it at all. And so, like, we've had a very clear goal of this like 40 grams and sub 40 grams. And I think as the glasses are hitting that threshold, obviously well designed, well balanced with use cases, all that stuff, but it's that it doesn't matter, none of those things matter if you can't wear them. And this is the first time you can actually wear them. So that's why I'm so optimistic.
Yeah. Would you say there's this idea that you have a mobile app and maybe you make an extension that works for glasses? Do you think that's a simple, maybe not simple, but that's a viable use case? Everyone who has a mobile application should now take a look at glasses and see which part of the app can be used, how can it work together with glasses? Or should you build completely new apps only made for glasses?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about it with this kind of paradigm. I don't usually think of it that way. What we usually say is that if you want to build a smart glasses app, you should assess if it's at least 10 times better than if you did it on your phone. And hopefully it's like 100 times better. If it's an app that you couldn't do on a phone and it's, could be really useful, that's a great application. Or it's just so much better than doing it on your phone, that's a great application. But sometimes people, I think, somewhat naively get overly excited about smart glasses. And yes, I think in enough time, you will be like answering all your emails on your glasses and this kind of stuff. Is that the first thing to go after? I'm not convinced it's the first thing to go after, because people aren't going to buy your glasses to do something slightly better on their glasses than on their phone. So I think some of the apps, like captions and translation, that people are doing, are like doing this all the time and straining their neck, and like if they're in class and they're like looking back and forth and they get neck strain, like this kind of thing, they can't focus. That definitely is one of those things you want to move from your computer or your phone onto your glasses. But is it time to move Candy Crush onto our glasses? Probably not. There's other things that I think are good. People love consuming media. People want to read books. We have a teleprompter app, and people copy paste PDFs into our teleprompter app so that they can read on the subway or something like that. That's some strong evidence, like, oh yeah, your e-reader app definitely wants to move to the glasses. Yeah, I think we just always have to ask, like, probably most of the apps that take off, there was some analog of that app on a phone already, if it's a good application, but it's more just like, is it way better on glasses?
Candy Crush is also a good example, right? Because when mobile gaming started, people thought the mobile phone is not a good platform for gaming because you can't play all the PC games, the console games, you can't play them on the phone. But then people made something like Candy Crush, which is relatively basic, right? It's like a Tetris. It's a very old concept. So maybe think not about the PC game, porting it to the mobile phone, right? But make something that's good there and analyze how people use the phone and when there's an opportunity for this kind of game, right? Because if you have 5 minutes on the train, you can play Candy Crush. You can't play Call of Duty, right? So there's an opportunity, and you should maybe with glasses think about how people spend their day, what they're doing all day. And if you have an opportunity to do something hands-free with glasses instead of holding the phone, then maybe try to make an app about it.
Yeah, definitely. There will be, like you're mentioning with Candy Crush, there will be apps for smart glasses that we didn't really have before because they weren't realistic or possible. So when I talk about proactive AI, like the example I gave, your professor mentions ASR in class. Say, hey, everyone turn your book to the chapter on ASR, and it pops up the definition on your vision. And then you're walking out of class and you tell your friend about some message you saw in your WhatsApp group chat the other day, and you start telling about it, and the fact checker pops up and says, oh, actually, that's not true. You should stop spreading this misinformation. Or you're talking about your upcoming travel to some Asian country, and they're saying, oh, I'm worried about the air quality levels, and it pulls up the data from the World Health Organization on the air quality levels and how you should manage that. I don't think that you would be able to do that. You can't do that on a phone because you're not standing there holding your phone watching people. and you're not getting notified and switching to your watch or your phone to ignore them, and your phone is in your pocket not picking up that microphone data. The fact that you have these glasses that are now able to pick up all of that context, and they can give you something that's glanceable, so I can stay engaged, and then when I have a second to think, I can glance up at it, creates opportunities for apps that didn't exist before. Which you can use that app right now. It's called Mentra Merge on Mentra OS. We just did a demo of it.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks for all the explanations about all the what you're working on, right, as a company. And I hope to see you tomorrow at CIOE. Hope it will be a great show for you. I hope that you see a lot of good stuff, meet a lot of people, and yeah, I can't wait to do our next AMA in the subreddit.
Same
so that
here,
you can update us with what's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Norm. It's great to be here. And maybe I'll just finish by saying, I think as time goes on, everyone in the industry, the users and people building smart glasses are going to start to see how open we really are and how committed to this vision of a cross-compatible platform for smart glasses we actually are. This is critical to us. Like, we want every individual's reality to be controlled by them. We think that the human augmentation stack being open is completely critical to the future of humanity flourishing and communicating with each other and with AI. So we're doing all kinds of stuff right now to make that platform, and it's going to be even more open and freeing in the future. We're doing things like a federated cloud approach, where that relay in the cloud that's part of our architecture, multiple different people can run one of those. We're adding an edge SDK so that if people do need to write an app that runs directly on the phone, they can do that as well. So we're just super amped because the glasses are finally here, and we're building this open platform with the whole industry. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Norm.
And your investors are already convinced as well, right? Because everyone's telling me, the Mentra guys, they raised 8 million. How did they do that? Everyone's asking me, how did they do that? Nobody knows.
How did we do it? Well,
yeah.
Listen to this interview. We have a good plan.